Welcome into the Sunday session. You're with Jir and Alex. Thank you for stopping by and having a little chat with us. This is our opportunity. We typically get stuck in with the members on Sundays. If you're interested in becoming a member, there's a membership button, I believe, at the top of the YouTube page. But 3 quick ways to support this channel and products like these. Our memberships, merch. There's merch links down below, and mentions. This is an audio, mainly what we launched to everyone is the audio side of this on Spotify and stuff like that. We're trying to grow the audio section of the Leeds View, so please do drop us a mention or give us a follow on any of wherever you get your podcasts. Jir, how are you?
I'm good. It's been a busy week. We're working on some new content for early next week. We've managed to wrangle up a few different content creators from around the YouTube and podcast sphere. Hopefully yourself will be included in this as well. And we're gonna just gauge what everyone thinks on the run-in. So we're gonna be getting their predictions for every single game between now and the end of the season to see who finishes where and to see if the gut instinct backs up the logic at the end of it, which has been very interesting so far. We've 6 done already. We'll put them all together, but it's been an interesting experiment so far, but mostly has made me feel better about things. But we are coming out of this international break soon. We've got some good news on Calvert-Lewin being sent back to Leeds, so he won't be involved in the pointless friendly on Tuesday night. Fingers crossed the Welsh lads can get sent back as well, and a bit of common sense kicks in there. But yeah, I'm looking forward to getting ready to start talking about some FA Cup action at the weekend as well.
Yeah,
How are you?
FA Cup. I'm good. We're good. We were just talking off air. I think all is good. Job's doing good. Family's doing good. Springtime is in the air, so more daylight, green grass. At least here it's been just brown, and they call it stick season because it's been
sludgy.
So it's just there's no leaves on the trees, so you just see you just look in the tree lines and you just see brown. So, anyways, good things happening there. And all positive, good stuff happening in my life. So very, very blessed. But there's not too much meat on the bone. We're obviously in the international break. This is my opportunity or our opportunity to kind of pick Jir's brain. Jir on the View is always offering or trying to find out other people's opinions. He's obviously covering the news every day. This is kind of our opportunity to walk inside your head, see what you're thinking a little bit more in depth. So we'll talk about the new owner that came through. We'll talk about some of the international boys, what they did or have been doing, and then we'll talk in a little bit about our rivals and kind of take it from there. So first up, Andreas Dropoulos. Dracopoulos. You were training me on how to say it, but new owner. And in a world of oil states and private equity, fingers crossed it's an actual true fan member for 50 years or something. I heard you were saying.
Yeah, apparently so. Apparently he's got a long-standing affiliation. Now, we did a bit of news on it yesterday, and somebody did say in the comments that he might have been an investor actually around the time of Peter Ridsdale. Now, I've gone digging to try and see if that is the case. I can't find anything official that says that was the case, but the number that was said was 4%. But at that time, Leeds were floated on the stock exchange, so it's very possible he could have had some shares in Leeds via that at that point. So, but apparently his first membership at the club was 50 years ago. He's been a lifelong fan. He knows Prague Morate a very long time. He's got a degree in economics. He's a philanthropist, which, essentially means giving his money away for nothing. So, welcome to Leeds. You'll be giving your money away for nothing here. Might be the worst investment you ever make. Could be the best one. You never know. But yeah, he seems like an interesting character. Still trying to find out though if he's invested via the 49ers Enterprises pool or if he has invested on his own. Michael's asking what his nationality is. He is Greek. But don't confuse him. Don't confuse him with Marinakis. These are very different characters. We'll give you some detail on the next couple of minutes anyway.
He is shipping. That's where he got his wealth. He does give quite a bit of his money away philanthropically, which I always think is interesting. In the States, we do it a lot because there's a lot of tax incentives.
Tax
A lot of
benefits.
the right. I don't know what the tax incentives are internationally or in Greece. Maybe they're similar. Um, but again, the fact that he's been a fan and a member for 50 years, I think, is a good sign that he's coming from a good place in this ownership. It's
Mm,
not necessarily turning and burning, the club and trying to grow it and sell it and make more money.
yeah,
Hopefully, he actually wants to see the club succeed. So I find that to be good. He looks like he has a seat at the board level.
he
Is that
does. Yeah,
okay?
so he is joining the board, which is interesting. Again, given his background in finance and economics, it's an interesting person. I think more from a community outreach though, because obviously Leeds have got involved in a ton of community projects over the last 12 months. They're trying to partner. The redevelopment of Elland Road isn't just Elland Road; it's the wider area as well. And there are a lot of community schemes there as well. He's got a very strong background in community work. He's labelled as he gives money away for what's called the personal good. Oh, sorry, the social good. So to try
Right.
and upway, he gave 300 million away during the Greek financial crisis. 100 million went to a poverty charity, and 200 million in two sets of 100 went to a youth unemployment organization as well. When that got worse, he threw more money into that as well. So he has done some good with his money in the past. He does have a seat on the board, so which means he's coming in at a serious level of investment. He's not coming in at a minor investment and just being one of the pool. The other part of this is really interesting to me because we've always talked about like the 49ers will sell the club at some point in the future. The interesting part of this for me comes down to, well, Red Bull have always had 10% of the club, so maybe the obvious buyer is Red Bull down the line. But if you actually look at Pete Lowry's billionaire, and now you've got Dracopoulos billionaire. So there's a very strong possibility that the 49ers decide to walk away from this. They just buy the club off them. And you've got the guys from within it as well. And Pete Lowry's a Leeds fan and Dracopoulos is a Leeds fan. So there is that as well. The other part as well is this has been labeled as a personal investment, not a company investment. So he's not put his company to buy into Leeds. He's bought in himself individually. So and the money is sketchy. It'll probably come out over the next couple of weeks and months. People who are better at digging into this stuff than I am will find out. But he inherited a shipping company along with two of his cousins from Stavros Narcos in 1996. It was valued at $12 billion at that point. Now they got a share. He's not listed on Forbes of having any, public wealth, but his cousin is, and his cousin's wealth is labeled at 2.8 billion. So we're still talking in the B's, which is
Yeah,
very
that's
interesting as well. But yeah, just giving his background on finance and in community projects, I think it's a very interesting appointment to the board.
yeah. It's interesting. I do think the 49ers plan to exit at some point. Maybe, and it's just me, and I could be completely off and wrong. Um, and I do think that having a couple of potential buyers, as they did with when they bought the club, within
Mm,
the board to bid and compete for when they are ready to exit is exactly kind of what they're grooming. And obviously, to sell it when it's a Premier League established Premier League club is uh, advantageous or better than
mm,
it's in a championship. Um,
yeah. Michael's asking an interesting question here. The Forest owner has investment in Greece's top five flight clubs. Does Andreas have any investment in other clubs? And again, from what I can find, there's no reports, there's no records that he has any shares or investments in any other football club. Every source on this seems to frame Leeds as his first venture into football financing or football ownership. Again, lifelong fan. It's described as being a fairly clean story in the sense that it's not part of a multi-club network. There's no private equity rotating into the club here either as well. And it appears that this is a purely a personal passion project.
I
Appears.
think I
Appears.
think I think all positive. I mean, touch wood, all positive news there, uh, coming from the new owner. Um, International break. It's been interesting. Obviously, some heartbreak happening with the Welsh side going out of the World Cup competition. So those boys will be home all summer. Um,
No.
and then DCL, I think he made some good movements with England.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, just couldn't get his head completely on the ball. It's easier said than done. The commentary's always, oh, he missed a sitter. It's like, okay, he missed. It was a tough. It's tough to get your head on some of those balls. Uh, but anyways, I think his movement's been great. And Aronson obviously did not feature with the United States men's national team. But any thoughts on the international break, Leeds
Yeah.
players?
Before we get that, just a quick super chat that's coming from Abdulram Al Khalifa. He says, "Greetings, dear and friend. Great news that we're in very good financial position going forward in Salah. My guess is that this will be an upgrade of Ellen Road. What's sad about the Irish result? Love the Irish. Thank you for that, because I was miserable after the Ireland result, and I appreciate the super chat, mate. You're an absolute star. Thank you for that. I don't believe it's necessarily Ellen Road. I think Ellen Road money has been raised independently, from what I know. But it is interesting, Abdulrahman, that's coming in. It's coming in at this point towards the end of the season, before a PSR deadline as well, which is new capital. So there's some interesting pieces there as well. But yeah, I think it does show that we're in a pretty healthy financial position. So yeah, fingers crossed. And again, I would always say, just because I have to read this question at this point out well, from Mick Doyle as well, who said, if he was a supporter for 50 years, you would wonder where he was during the financial trouble. Well, you could also ask yourself, where was Pete Lowy? Where was Russell Crowe? Where was the guys that have all invested money? It's about putting money into a good investment or a bad investment. Right now, Leeds United looks like a really good investment. During those times, Leeds United look like a really bad investment, and you're putting money in, you're guaranteed to lose it. So I think there's always that element as well. It's put your money where your mouth is. So we'll see. But I would always say, again, even with Red Bull, everyone, great that everyone's behaving themselves and it's going well, but you've always got to keep an eye, because they have their own reasons for getting involved in this, and they're not necessarily always, well, I love the club and I put money in because I love the club. So and it could be, but you just
They're
keep an eye on
business
that.
people. I mean, businesses,
Correct.
unemotional. They're they don't want to see loss.
Yeah. I mean,
They're in it.
Pete
They're in it for
Lowy,
money, and a little bit. So
Pete Lowy's involvement looks very transparent now, because there's the redevelopment of the area surrounding Elland Road, and that's going to have retail capabilities, and his family are retailers. So Westfields Group. So and property development. So you can clearly see why Pete Lowy sees a benefit in redeveloping the area around Elland Road, because he's probably going to have stake in that. He's going to make some money off of that. So there's always reasons for it, But that's the world we live in. You can either be owned by a very rich oil nation, you can either be owned by a corporation, or you can be owned by a series of billionaires. But they've all got money made somewhere else, and you've got to ask yourself, well, why are they getting involved in this? But it is interesting to note that as well. And then Paul says, I'm just glad that we don't have these single investors, the 49ers, and not the Glazers. Well, there's more accountability to shareholders than there is to just the Glazers, So again, just always keep an eye on it. Just always keep an eye on it. Have the appropriate level of skepticism around everything, but also don't be overly negative for the sake of being overly negative. So see how it goes. International break. Yeah, I agree with John Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I think his movement was good. I think he's probably out of form at the moment, and that definitely contributed to the miss. I would say he should be scoring it. I don't want to go full Roy Keane and say it's his job, but when he's in that area, you'd expect him to score that. He probably should have done, but I'm sure getting that shirt on him again and playing in that match will definitely help his confidence and be good for Leeds. Good that he's already back at Leeds and he's training back with Leeds United, so he survived the trip, which was nice. Somebody said yesterday it was the worst Bielsa ball game of football they've ever seen. I would agree with that. It was a very Uruguay performance of just kick lumps out of people. It was very old school Uruguay, which maybe Bielsa is trying to adapt to keep all them on side. So yeah, that was good. The Welsh lads really unlucky. I don't think we're in the same situation as we were with them 2 years ago when they came back, because none of them missed penalties, none of them had bad games, none of them were involved in the reasons they went out. So, hopefully they can bounce back pretty quickly. And last night, Tanaka, good solid performance for Japan. Obviously, we were talking about this before. Brendan Aronson doesn't get off the bench for the States, which would have been nice for him to play in that game and then come back. But obviously, he'll probably be involved next week. And Jakob had a difficult enough night for Slovenia. They only lost 1-0, but he had a tricky enough performance. But playing in a back four, which again doesn't tend to be his strong suit. But yeah, They're all okay. Apparently, Gabby might have had a little bit of a knock the other night, but no reports that there's anything serious there. So, yeah, keeps them all ticking
Dan
over.
James scored. I thought he
He
took a
did.
lovely goal. And at
Well,
first I was like, did he toe poke it? Was it
he
but
sliced it.
because
He slices it.
the keeper, I guess, could
Yeah.
have or should have been in a better position. His back foot slipped off when he was trying to push and save it. But to ask the question, I think is again harder to do than most people realize. And he scored a great goal. Hopefully that'll do something for his confidence.
Yeah. He had a very good
Uh,
game. He had a very outside the goal. He had a very very good game. And Carl Darlow had a very good game as well. Made a world class save in it as well.
yes.
Come back across this goal off the line. So David Seaman-esque from years and years ago. Those who remember will remember. On the Irish team, by the way, Sean Healy saying didn't want to go to the World Cup anyways. Yeah, I'm the same. As you, the Guinness is shite in America, so I didn't want to go anyway. There you go.
It is. It is. I can attest to that. It's hot. This World Cup's going to be an absolute mess. The whole logistics of it going through 4 different time zones, all different
Yeah.
parts of the continent. I mean, if it was in one section, like if it was just in Canada or just in Mexico or just in the
Yeah.
northeast of the United States, where the travel would be a little bit easier. I mean, England's setting its camp up in Kansas City. We haven't. This is America's bureaucracy and incompetence right now. There was supposed to be like $500 million or some odd amount of money that was supposed to go to help increase security for some of these cities. The local police in some of these cities haven't gotten it. So they're still working with the burden of coming and doing all this and setting up the logistics of some of this stuff. And they don't have the extra resources to provide these opportunities. So, and again, I just think, you're setting up base in the middle of the country. You're playing in New York. That's a 2-3 hour flight. Some of the airports are an hour to 30 minutes outside of these cities. So and then you got to deal with traffic, the buses. It just seems like a logistical nightmare. And I don't even know if some of these clubs will actually be how much practice they can get in on some of their downtime. I just think it's going to plus the fields. I mean, the pitches are not going to be. I mean, they did I can't remember what they call basically it's the Euros for North America and South America, but Messi complained about
the Copa America.
Maybe it was the Copa America.
Copa America.
I mean, most of the South American players complained about all the pitches coming on the NFL stadiums because they're just not ready. They're just not quality yet. And as some people just look at old school pitches and are like, deal with that stuff. But the modern player will care if the pitch isn't playable. So I think it's going to be an absolute show, S show. So we'll take it from there. But I think there's
bigger news. The bigger news coming out of American sport, and this is my second love. Seattle are gonna get an NBA franchise again. Finally.
Oh, the
Supersonics are back, baby.
All right. Yeah.
I have my Supersonics color Jordans over there. I am
Oh, really?
I'm excited about that. Yeah, I like the Celtics.
Sean Kemp and deadlift shrimp and
yeah.
And then of course
it does break the mold though of the Seattle sports franchises because they're all fish related in some way, shape, or form. Supersonics not so much, But
well, that's the
Sounders,
the Space Needle, I guess,
Seahawks,
is there.
Yeah. Well, the Space Needle, but that was the only other thing. I saw that during the week they've agreed to two expansion franchises. But this is not a Seattle Seattle Supersonics podcast. But I did want to throw it in there because I'm very excited about it.
Well,
a little bit of
very good. Yeah, excellent stuff coming out in that way. Let's talk a little bit about our rivals. I just can't believe there hasn't been an announcement out of Spurs that there's been a change in manager yet. Sean Dyche was in a pub and this Talk Sport clip came out and said, of course, I'm having a pint with you. I'm not talking to Spurs. Ha ha.
Very literal though, wasn't it? Like, I hear you talk to Spurs, but I'm having a pint. I'm clearly not talk to Spurs. No, Sean. During the day, Sean. That's not facetious there.
I could see him getting annoyed. At first I thought, well, he'd be the perfect fireman, but now it's like he would get really old if he was your. And then the snoods and the gloves, banning all that kind of
I just the
stuff.
I mean, it's its own. I mean, it's the non woke bullshit that he claims it is. It's the you know, but it's its own set. It's its own level of bullshit. Like it's his way of doing things is its own level of bullshit. It's performative, old school. Like there's a point made around no snoods, no gloves, no. There's a point made around that. There's a point made around. I mean, I don't have a problem with his football necessarily. It doesn't bother me because he was talking about how many games he has played in the Premier League, and he's in the top 9 English managers appearances as a manager in the Premier League, and all that kind of stuff. It's not that. It's just the fact that he's got an issue with everything. I mean, you look at even this year in Nottingham Forest, he made a big deal out of the fact that the referees were making announcements on VAR decisions. He's like, who is that for? Why do we need that? The fourth official tells me. He's like, for everyone else in the stadium, Sean, who's been complaining, they don't know what the hell is going on when VAR is making decisions. That's what that was there for. He had a problem with that. He had to call that way. And these press conferences become their own set of theater with him as well. Of like, I'm so opposed to the game changing, so I'm going to make a point of talking about it. It's like, well, sometimes the changes are for good, sometimes they're not, but sometimes they are. So he just brings, as much as he's against the performative nature of football, he brings his own level of performative to football, and I agree with you.
He
I don't
becomes
have a
the
problem with his
show.
football. Yeah, he does become, and do you know what? Maybe that's not necessarily a bad thing because it takes the pressure off the players. Everyone's focused
Yeah.
on him, and Sam Allardyce tried to do it at Leeds. Make it
Right.
about me, and then you're not talking about my team, and they can focus on football. And you're not putting pressure on their back. And there's a deliberate. Liam Senior has done it at Chelsea to less success, but it's been about aim all of it at me, and I'm the shield for everybody else. Then, so you're not talking about my players; you're only talking about me, and that gives them a bit of breathing room, right? And I can understand why some coaches do it. But I agree with you. As a fan, I wouldn't necessarily have a problem with Sean Dyche's football. I would understand the reasons for it, and to a degree, it's been successful where it has had to be. And you could argue that Forest had improved when he took them over compared to where they were when he started. But I just get so bored of his press conference. We get to a stage of going, just shut up and just talk about football, will you? And same with Jesse when he was doing it. There's a point where you're like, yeah, this is interesting, and then it gets to a point where you're like, are you still talking?
Yeah.
Are you still talking?
It only works so far, and he just becomes. You can make it about yourself for so long, and then it just becomes,
annoying.
You want annoying, and you want to see results.
Yeah.
I remember when I talked to you. Maybe it was a couple years back when Marsh was not doing well. And I think might have even mentioned it this year on one of the Sunday sessions, members only on that one. But I said Sean Dyche. All right, I didn't even say. I said, we could get, and you said no. You started going no, no.
I didn't let you finish the question.
No, you were like no. And I was like, why? He's had good success, saved Everton. No. You were like, I can't. You were not ready for him at all.
No.
Even when Farco was wobbling, like in November, no. And I was like, it's negative football, but he shores up the back. You're like, no. And it's all the other stuff. It's not just the tactics; it's the other.
It's the other stuff. It's the other stuff, and that's exactly what it is. And it's the same with Mikel Arteta. Like if someone said to me in the morning, and I know it's becoming a joke at this stage, but my obsession with Mikel Arteta or my dislike for Mikel Arteta, but it's like I just don't want to look at him. Same with Rosenior. Like I would have liked Rosenior 6 months ago. Now having a proper look at him, no, because I just don't want to look at you because the antics on the sideline, the stuff in press conferences, the nonsense that's wrapped around it. Like there's so much that should be kept.
The stuff he did with Cole Palmer. He was mentioning Cole Palmer, and then
Cole
Palmer was right next to him.
Giving Garnacho a note to go on the pitch in the 86th minute when you're getting hammered. What's the point?
I hate the note. I know it's commonly used, but the note stuff, and then they don't know where to put it, and they put it in shorts.
And someone rubs it off you, and then you eat it. But like there's other parts to it as well. It's like the huddle around the football bullshit. They just
the ref. That was
but not even take the ref out of it. Just the huddle around the football, and you're like, just why bother? Why bother? And I'm becoming grumpy old man territory when it comes to this kind of stuff. But I'm like,
no, that's fair.
There used to be a time where stuff was kept in the dressing room, and if you want to do the performative art stuff, if you want to do Mikel Arteta with a light bulb, do it in the dressing room. do it without the cameras. But there's a certain group of managers who are very, very aware of where the cameras
Of
are
the
at all
camera.
times. And there's a point that I did where it was a couple of weeks into Senior's tenure at Chelsea, where he walked onto the pitch and seemed to be telling Arsenal players to get back in their own half, right, during the warm up. And all I was thinking when I was watching it is, because I've done body language training as a learning and development manager when I worked in that part of the industry. And you kind of watch for certain tricks that tell you if someone's making something up or lying, or, there's things like that. And I looked at his body language and I went, someone needs to spin that camera around really quickly because I'm not sure there's anybody there. Like, it looked like it was just timed perfectly. As the camera moved onto him, he steps onto the pitch and we're going, who are you trying to impress with this? Like, just stand in the dugout. You don't need to be, you should be wallpaper. I should forget that you're there after, like a referee. There should be a point in time where I forget that you're even there.
Yeah.
Like, if you put a new billboard on a wall, people, you'll notice what that billboard says. That billboard is there for 6 months. You'll forget that billboard is even there because nothing's changed about it. And it becomes wallpaper. That's why they should be after a period of time. Like, be a shield for your players, but be wallpaper. Like, don't make it about you. It doesn't always have to be about you. And if a camera walks past you, just let it walk past you. You don't have to perform for that camera. And I think for me, there's too much performative arts with that. Deutsch has his own version of it. He'll say it's not performative arts. He say that's just being, raw and clear. No, it's its own thing. There's no need. Do you know what? And I'm a big believer in this as well. I'm on my soapbox now. If you don't like something, then don't watch it. If you don't like something, don't comment on it. It's not for you, right? Spend your time doing stuff you want to. So if Sean Dyche doesn't like the fact that there's an announcement in a stadium from a VAR, it's not for you, Sean. It was never for you. So if it's annoying you, that's a you problem. But it wasn't designed for you. It was designed to tell the fans who pay their money every week to go to a football stadium. It was designed to tell them what the referee's decision was and what he was looking for in the first place. Because no one in that ground has a clue what's going on.
And the more you dig into him, the less tactically. I actually don't think he's probably as tactically smart as Farka.
No, but he's effective.
He's effective at the beginning, but I don't think, like, Forest fans started to get. I don't think he knew what to do with Forest, really. I don't think he knew with that group of players.
Yeah, they weren't. I mean, you can see it. They bring in Lorenzo Luca, who's nearly 6'7" or something like that. They bring Lorenzo Luca in to be the target man that he wants, and then Sean Dyche gets sacked, and Lorenzo Luca hasn't even been in the squad. That tells you.
Yeah.
All of a sudden James McAtee's back playing football when he wasn't playing under Sean Dyche that much.
Right.
So it wasn't his team, but he was. But again, if you look at the numbers, they were performing better than they were before he took over.
Yeah.
So, as Jesse would say, the data was going in an upward direction.
Oh my God, I can't. He's the worst, and I just can't. He's become. He gets on these podcasts. Jesse Marsh. I can't remember. Ben Jacobs. What are you doing over a Vista? This guy needs to win. So go win something with Canada, and then maybe you could come back to Europe. But otherwise, be quiet and stop talking about your time at Leeds. It's unfair. If you win, no one cares. No one cares what nationality you are, what crap you say. Just win or get results out of football games. You weren't getting results. You got canned. It's like.
And also, he told Leeds fans 3 months ago when they took the mick out of him when he put a post about the data around Canada, and somebody put a comment in saying, "Oh, the data is moving in an upward trajectory, is it, Jesse?" And his response was, "You guys need to move on with your life." And then he's out doing podcasts every second week, and he's mentioning Leeds and what went wrong at Leeds. We've heard this story, Jesse. We know the tale. It changes slightly every time you tell it. Move on with your life, Jesse. Move on with your life. You were a footnote in Leeds United's history. You won't be there long enough to be remembered in the long term. Move on with your life, pal. It didn't work.
I tell you what,
and it was nothing to do with Ted Lasso, and it was nothing to do with an American manager being prejudged. It was everything to do with your tactics and everything to do with your man management. So move on with your life.
Yeah, amen. And he's got one hell of an agent. I don't know why he keeps getting these interviews. And Simon Jordan does an
company,
interview.
Doesn't he?
Oh, he's laborious. And anyways, he's in our rearview mirror. Let's talk a little bit about the rivals in this relegation. Leeds are obviously 4 points clear currently, but Tudor has not exited yet.
Mad, crazy.
I think it's tough, right? They're navigating his loss of his father,
Yeah.
but still, every day that ticks by, Tudor's still there. Somerville, I believe, reports that he is going to be back, and
Yeah.
then Forest. Actually, if you look at some projections, just because they've scored 3 goals, that they're sometimes even they have a lower probability of relegation even than Leeds, even though we have a point on them because
Mm.
I guess maybe they've shown recent ability to score. Um, but yeah, let's. What do you think of the rivals' moves or things happening coming out of their camps over this break?
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see does Somerville play in the FA Cup game, or if he's still coming back from that calf injury, do they keep him for the league? Where's their priority? And it's a good try run for us to get a game down at the London Stadium out of the way before we have to go there the final day of the season. So if nothing else, we get a bit more familiar with the location. Whether we can win or not is a different story, but we'll see.
Right.
It'll be interesting to see what they do there. You could see a scenario the first weekend back, so not the FA Cup weekend, this weekend, the following week when we play Manchester United away. You could see a possibility where West Ham beat Wolves and we lose to Manchester United, and the gap becomes 1 point.
Right.
But it's after that I think it's that. And this is the accordion effect we've been talking about for weeks.
Yes.
This is where I think it comes right back in, and then over the next 4 weeks, it comes right back out again. And that's when I think Leeds go on their run, past that. But I could see a world where Leeds nick a point away at Manchester United. Spurs is a strange situation. I get that. Look, anyone who's lost their father, and I can speak on this, it hits you. And it hits you at a level that you don't think it hits you. I mean, I know so many people who lost their fathers, and if you're close to your dad, you get angry. Like, you get angry for a while, but it's an anger in here with you. Like, it's not necessarily something it's obvious, but you behave differently, right? You do. And I know I did anyway. I know a couple of people that are around me that have lost their parents, and similar things happened. All of a sudden, it can be hard to manage relationships with people as well, because you're missing something. And sometimes it's a sounding board that you're missing, person that keeps you in check and says you need to relax a bit, that's gone, and it can be tough. So I don't envy the situation that Beatty or Tudor is in. I would always send prayers and wishes to somebody who's lost a parent. So that's tough for him to deal with. From a Spurs perspective, then they've got to look at this in the cold, hard facts of day, which is, do we cut the cloth here and just move on? Or do we stay with this guy? Or the bigger question is, are they going to just run with this till the end of the season anyway? Is that always the plan? Do they look at this and think, we are going to lose games, but we might win 2. We might win 3. And if we can win 2 or 3, that's enough. Job done. So
Yeah.
they could be going down like, do they do what Leeds did at this stage? Do they decide, feck it, let's sack him and get Javi Gracia in for a couple of weeks and Sam Allardyce in for a couple of weeks, and then see what happened there? Do they look at the data which suggests if you change your manager at this stage of the season, you're going down anyway? So there's no point in doing it. And we can prove that trend. So did they do that? Or do they just sit and go, we think we'll have enough to beat Wolves. We might beat Leeds. We might beat Brighton at home. That'll be enough to keep us in the Premier League. But if we change the manager now, maybe we don't win those games and we cause a problem. Because I think the problem is their dressing room. But it's an interesting one, because if they were going to do it, they'd have done it by now. Because as you said before we came on, this was the obvious time to do it, because you're giving a new guy time to at least get 2 weeks to get comfortable in the surroundings. He won't have all his players there, but he'll be able to get comfortable with the surroundings and work with a few of them. You're now going into this week coming, and you're back into football, into league football. Like, there's internationals on Tuesday, but the weekend is football. So you don't have that time now. So you're at least going away to Sunderland, possibly, with Igor Tudor. And then the other part of it as well is, does anybody want it? Like, do you want to be the manager that brings...
supposedly wants it next year.
Nobody worked. We were the same. We tried to get Arne Slot. We tried to get Andoni Iraola, and they all said the same thing. Not without a preseason. Not doing it. Do you want to be the manager that brings Spurs down the same season as Arsenal win the title?
Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to be loved by those fan base, are you? It's a damned if you do, nearly damned if you don't job. If you keep them up, well, you should keep them up. And if you get relegated, well, that's your fault. So there's no praise here. There's no scenario where you're a hero here. He's like, well, you're damn right we should have stayed up. We're Spurs, and look at the infrastructure we've got, and look at the squad we've got. Yeah, you did the minimum, pal. Again, Roy Keane, you did your job, mate. Well done. Pat on the back.
Mm-hmm.
You get relegated, and it's what were you doing? Look at the squad you had. Look at the infrastructure you had, and you brought us down. So it's a really tough one to sell to a manager who values himself. To say it's 7 games, you've got 4 away games in that 7. Do you fancy it?
Yeah.
I don't know if Manny will take that on. Maybe you look at bringing in a manager with a good cup record and you kind of treat them all as individual cup games and go for it that way. But it's yeah, it's a really weird position. But the more I look at it, and I could be wrong, and I probably am wrong on this, but they might just stick with Tudor and hope they get enough points. But I don't see them. I don't see where a win comes. I haven't seen anybody predict them to get any wins this season, between now and the end of the season. And funnily enough, I think the one they probably get is against us.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see. I'm optimistic. West Ham fans are marinating on a loss right now. So are Spurs fans. As if it goes to the FA Cup and then they lose again, that negativity sets in. Wolves are obviously, I think they're playing right. They're playing for their individual contracts and stuff. They're doing well. If they get a draw or a loss against Wolves, it's another game where, let's say it's a draw and we somehow pull out a draw, and it's the whole like drawing your way to safety, which I'm not a fan of. I think you need to get a win. I think you need to go for wins. But there is something to be said that you're running out of string. It's 6 games. Now you have a 4-point gap with 6 to go. So it's just ticking over in the games. You're running out of time for West Ham, maybe for Spurs. I don't know if Forest can get dragged back. Not that they're completely out of it. It's just 3 points, but they certainly, I think, more out of the group, out of the 4 teams, have their tails up because of that win. So we'll see. We're the last man in the door, so to speak. We play on Monday night when the league starts back up. So we'll see. That's all I had on my agenda, Gier. I think you said maybe you wanted to dig into something else, or if we had time.
No, that's off air. I'll talk to you about that off air.
All right. All right, we'll talk about that.
I want to pick you. If you are watching this, we normally do these on a Sunday. This is Alex's show on a Sunday, so it won't always be me that's sitting here beside him. So, but it is just to the members as well. Normally, it's available free on all the audio platforms. But if you do want to become a member and get the video of this every week, it's more of a Sunday sit down chit chat than anything else and talking about the week. So you can check it out. As I say, the video is available to all the members on the channel as a members perk, and then the audio goes out late in the afternoon then on the audio platform. But nice to get Alex to come in and ask some questions and sit down. But we'll have other people that will be sitting in this chair from time to time as well.
Oh, excellent.
Oh, actually, sorry, I do have some questions I want to get into. Oh, sorry, we got some questions. No, comments. Go ahead. So I started a few comments as we've been going through. I keep forgetting to do this every time we do it. Paul says this is on Dracopoulos. He understands business really well, so why would he buy into a football club? Which is a valid point in its own self. Paul says out Tanaka played well. Teams in Europe are interested in him. Yeah, there's just teams in Germany apparently keeping an eye, but Leeds apparently are not willing to sell. Andrew says Tanaka had an impressive game against Scotland. He always does the simple things very, very well. Hit the bar in the first half. Mick Doyle called that one out as well. If you supported the club for 50 years, we kind of covered that one already from Mick. Karen says it's good to have investors that are also Leeds fans who will want the best from the club like we do as fans. Yeah, but they also want the pocket as well. And then Abdul Ram has put that one into super chat as well, so we got through that one. Michael Brown says, Jer, Alex, are you concerned about the Welsh lad's state of mind that could affect Leeds Premier League survival as a few years back? What do you think, Alex?
I think they focus on the league. I mean, you can control. You flip your script and you control what you can control. I think they're also excited. They'll be a host nation, right, for the Euros. So, I think they're professionals. I'm hoping they'll handle it like professionals. And like I said, Darlow and James are kind of coming out of that with some really good performances. What do you think, Jer?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you completely. Yeah, I think so. So Ethan and Joe Rodon played a lot of football, so hopefully they're going to be okay. PSF says, why is it all right for Farke to be disloyal to players that got us into the Premier League? Ao, Pirro, Nanto, Ramazani, but everyone is supposed to be loyal to Farke. Loyalty is a relative term in football, and it depends. Football is for me, is very much a what have you done for me lately business. So Ao's played 21 times this year. He's only started 7 games, but he has played 21 times, so I wouldn't say he's not been loyal to him. Piru, for me, doesn't fit the style of play that we're going for as a hold-up striker. I think we've seen that with him when he has played on his own up front. Nanto, I would like to see more from him this season. I think that Daniel Farke is more risk-averse and likes to keep players that don't maybe give the ball away as much because they're not those kind of more exciting players, risk takers. Ramazani falls into that bracket for me as well. But loyalty for Farke is the same thing. It's like, have you done the job? Have you won points? Are you doing enough? And if you haven't, then you move on. It's a strange thing because Pierre will hold me to account on this one as he does. I appreciate that. And when he watches the channel, loyalty can come and go. You can say this people we should be loyal to somebody, but players aren't usually loyal to clubs anymore. If they get a better offer, they'll leave. Managers can tend to be the exact same, and then fans and clubs can be also the same way as well. So it's more a case of, well, if you are a fan of a player or a fan of a manager or a fan of a individual, that you're more loyal to that person than you are to necessarily other people. But it's a relative term. Alex, any
Yeah,
thoughts?
it's a business. I mean, I as much as we like to romanticize that it's loyalty, it's at the same. If you're over loyal to a player, you get maybe somebody like Pat Bamford who's hung
Yeah.
around a little bit too long. When I think of loyal players, that Rafinha, Pablo. I mean, Ethan Ampadu has a chance to kind of become into that bracket, and so does Joe Rodon.
Mm.
You think of Liam Cooper, but again, maybe he held on a little bit too long towards the end. So um, it's either one side is not going to perform for the other.
Yeah.
It's a business, and it shouldn't be looked at as that. Football is an emotional sport, but at
Yeah.
the same time, we always as players or fans want to be
Yeah.
ruthless towards some of the
Where's
players.
your cutoff on loyalty? That's the question, isn't it? Like, if you take the championship side from last season and go, well, you should be loyal to those players, and you don't bring any new players in, and you just play those guys, and you get relegated, was it worth it? And that's the trade-off with it. Not that it would happen, but that's the trade-off. And Paul Brody, member of the channel for 4 months. Congratulations, Paul. Thanks for doing that, mate. Don't panic, guys. Once City lose their 60 points, we can all relax. Yeah, so there's
Yeah,
a version of this whole season where Manchester City get deducted 60 points and get relegated. Now, I think they'll appeal it immediately and they'll kick the can down the road till next year. But yeah, go for it.
well, maybe they're going, maybe we don't want Spurs Stadium in the championship. And maybe for some reason they could swallow Manchester City in the championship. I don't know. But if they kick the can down the road, and then, I mean, Pep would leave over the summer, all those players would leave.
Mm,
Um, I doubt anybody in the City side has relegation clauses, but it's probably be justice. They have to do something,
yeah.
right? They have
I,
to
s- I
do
s-
the league has to do something for this.
I still think they'll get away with it, but it's interesting. And it's interesting that leaked out as well. It kind of feels like someone's flying a kite there to see what the sentiment is around it. But yeah, interesting one. Michael says, Jer, why did Ryan Manning have to pull back the Czech player in the penalty area when the Bulgarians were 2-0 up with the player going nowhere? You could say the same about the second one as well, the foul that was unnecessary in the corner flag that led to the second goal. You could also say, why did Alan Brown take a penalty? Like I did on the watch along. But that's look, yeah, look, people make mistakes in high pressure situations. Scooby says, I agree with you, Jer, but that's also half of Spurs' problem. They're entitled and up their own arse mentality. Yeah, that is Spurs' issue. It is their problem. Michael Brown says Joe Rodon said it's the best dressing room he has ever been in in his football career. Yeah, that's a huge factor as well, Alex. That
Mm,
the Leeds dressing room seems to be very tight together, where the other dressing rooms maybe feel a little bit more fractured.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I mean, I don't know. Do you remember the Jesse Marsh season where they'd all take their shirts off and they're taking
But
the
there was like
West Ham's having
again.
that now, and all the West Ham content creators are going, look at this club, look at how they're playing for each other. I think that the
It's a
leaders
problem.
on this, I think the leaders on this club, I like Ampadu and Rodon
Yeah.
as captains much more than I did, unfortunately, with Liam Cooper, who was injured a lot. Pat Bamford, you had kind of these two like competing camps.
Yeah.
I don't think Farka puts up with a lot of that.
No.
Farka, for all of his tactical, I guess, inflexibility at times, is a decent man manager, and he's been able to keep everybody healthy. I think the other thing too is when you look at the bench, it's professionals. We had some kids that were younger. Everybody's like 25, 26, 27, mid-career, and I think is able to, play their role when asked. So that's my.
Yeah.
I think the locker room's good, but I mean, how?
Well,
I don't. How can we?
To go back to the performative arts bullshit, right? On this, I looked at those Jesse Marsh huddles the year we stayed up, and I went, "He's getting that side together." And I ignored one key factor. Why is there a camera in the middle of that?
Right.
Because it wants to be seen. Right. And again, you look at the West Ham stuff and you go, why is there a camera there? Why has someone got a camera in that moment? That should be done behind. You look at the Leeds camp and they're talking about a tight-knit dressing room and they're all pulling the same direction. They're motivating each other. There's no camera in there. It's not about what the public think of it. It's about what we do in here. And that triggers me as well to go, this is performative art stuff. This is not necessarily for the camp. This is to give off a perception of the camp. So, on Spurs, Chris says, get Wheeler, Dealer, Ari on the dog and bone. Wall Tony says, lots of Spurs players looking to jump ship. Could be the same with Forest as well. And Spurs should stick with Tudor till the end of the season. It's an interesting conversation. Yeah, there you go. Worshipping the camera.
I got one last question for you, Gier. If you had to pick, let's say you have your pick of Somerville or Archie to bring back, who you,
long-term,
same
central midfield, consistent. Crease still has his injury issues. Archie for me. Leeds boy.
Yeah. Spurs fans that's the one bright spot. When you dip into any kind of Spurs podcast, they'll talk about Archie and his leadership.
Yeah, for a very young player. Yeah. That's the family came through. All right,
everybody. Thanks for joining us. Memberships, merch, link below. Help to support the channel, and members. If you want to become a member, if you are a member, thank you so much. You are the backbone of this channel. We will see you guys next time. Appreciate it.
Before we go, I have to do this. Kershaw, how are you, mate? Great to meet you. I don't know and see you properly. If you stay up, would you keep Farke or move on? I'm not going to answer this question, but I'm going to pose the question back to everybody, because we tried to cover this again during the week. If Leeds got relegated, it would be a failure, which would suggest the manager should lose his job. However, if you were a relegated side looking for a manager to get you promoted, wouldn't Daniel Farke be top of your list, given his track record? So parking emotion, what do you do in that situation? So Kershaw, it's a great question, and I'll pose it back to everybody else, because Benjamin Bloom asked me this question, and it genuinely I stopped for a minute and went, that's a really good point. At Christmas, you could have changed him for somebody else to stay in the Premier League, but at this point, if you're going down, is he not the best person to get you back up? Or are you rewarding failure? It's an interesting question, and everyone has their thoughts on it. But good question, mate. And again, it was fantastic to meet you as well and get a chance to talk to you. We'll talk properly next time we get over as well. So there you go. Right, we'll wrap it on that.
Bye-bye.